Specialist at Weldon STEM High School Career Academies.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christy Martin, and I am the AIG and BT coordinator as well as a member of TAC.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Thomas Redman. I'm the Director of Technology. I'm actually behind the camera, so you can't see me. Also, too, we have
Daniel Williams, Technology Technician.
And also our other members of the Technology Advisory Council include Mr. Devon Hunter, Ms. Robin Davis, and Ms. LaQuaisha Hudson. So today we're going to tell you about the main features of your Promethean board, as well as ways to connect to the board. We're going to practice connecting, and then we're going to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Before we get started, we would like to celebrate, okay? So we know that this year has looked different for us, and we want to start with some celebrations. And we know that everyone has something to celebrate regarding technology and remote learning. So I'm going to launch a poll, and I want you to just choose one area where you've grown and become proficient, or maybe you didn't know anything at first about a particular tool, but now you're using it. So please go ahead and choose one of the following. And I think we have 10 listed. If you just cannot find one on the list, then feel free to use the chat feature, but hopefully you can find one area to celebrate. Okay, so let's keep those celebrations rolling. Okay. We're, let's see, 50%, 53%. So just one area. Okay, we're a little over 70%. Okay. All right, we're at 85%. $86. All right, so we'll take a few more seconds for some celebrations. If you haven't voted, I know some people just came in. So even if you're just coming in, we're talking about technology celebrations. Okay, we are at approximately, let's see, we're at 91%. So we are going to end our polling. And let's see the results. Okay, so Canvas, 6%. I know that the middle school uses Canvas a lot, and I know that Mrs. Pierce uses Canvas for her beginning teachers. Google Classroom, Google Docs, Google Meet. Okay, great. WebEx and Zoom. So as you all see, we all have something to celebrate, and we hope that by the end of this session, you'll also be celebrating using your Promethean board.
Okay, so I just want to make mention that for those of you who may have just joined the chat, that we do have a live agenda, and Mrs. Martin has posted the link in the chat. And so our live agenda includes our link for signing in, as well as some of the activities that we're going to participate in today. There is also a note section in the end. So when you click the link, you were forced to make a copy. And so this copy is for you to keep. You can type in it and make any notes during this presentation. Also, we will be looking for questions in the chat as well. So please, at any time during the presentation, when you have a question, be sure to put it in the chat. I do want to share a quote with you because I do enjoy research. And so when I was thinking about the new Promethean boards and our goals for our students, whether they remain virtual or whether they're face-to-face, our Promethean boards will assist us with classroom engagement. And so this quote just says that students with learning engagement will actually gain more enjoyable classroom experience, learn more, and perform better academically. And so student engagement is one of our instructional design principles with remote teaching and learning. So before we begin looking at the Promethean board, I would first like to know, I know for those of us at the high school, we've had our Promethean boards for a while now, but you can still participate. But many of you are just getting your Promethean board for the first time, brand new. And so I want to know, how do you feel about this new Promethean board? I won't even give any examples, but so how do you feel about your new Promethean board? And so you can scan the QR code, which is here on the screen. It is also in your agenda. You can also click the link to access the survey. And then we're just going to look at the results and see, just how you all are feeling.
And while you all are recording your responses, this is a great tool. You can use it as an exit ticket. You could use it, as a do now at the beginning of class, just to see how your students are feeling about a lesson that you've taught or a lesson that you're going to teach. Is good for SEL, or the social emotional learning piece, because you could take a temperature check just to see how your students are feeling. And if you haven't used this, it is definitely a great tool. And if you have, then I'm sure you're enjoying it. But if you want to add a comment about the Mentimeter in the chat, please feel free to do so.
Okay, so I see there are some responses coming in, and I cannot see any of them. Let's see. So we have 18 people who have logged into our survey. And you'll just type your response in that box and it should populate here on the screen.
And you can see the code at the top. You would use that if someone just went to the website and they wanted to participate in your poll without having the bit.ly or without having the QR code to read or scan, rather.
Okay, so here are some of our results. We have happy and excited, optimistic, curious. And so I hope that we can satisfy your curiosity today during our presentation. I love it. There are many features that I need and use. Excited to learn. Okay, I've practiced on mine already and it's very simple and easy to use. I agree. Excited to learn more about it. I'm always trying new technology to use in my classroom. That's me. I love new technology, if you don't already know that. I use it as an extended screen with my laptop. That's also a great tool. So for those of us who have used it before, in that way you can have all of your students either from your Google Meet or your Zoom meeting on your Promethean board screen. So it's a great way to see everybody at one time. Excited to get to use it for the first time. Excellent instructional tool used in my previous district. Okay, that's awesome. So you'll be able to help your colleagues and answer any questions they may have. Confused on how it's going to work in both settings, virtual and in class at the same time. And so we definitely understand that. And so today's training will help you somewhat, but there's also our training with ECU next week. We'll go into more detail about using it both times. Do you want to talk more about that, Mrs. Martin?
Oh, yes. So next week, what we'll do is on March, sorry, March 9th, ECU is going to present using hybrid model strategies. So I don't know exactly how in depth they will go into any particular tool or resource, but they're definitely going to provide us with some useful tools and strategies for providing instruction in a hybrid model.
Also, too, I would like to add, Mr. Williams and I, or as most people know, Daniel, we will be available next week, probably around Wednesday, Thursday, for more one-on-one trainings to where we can actually assist teachers with trying to figure out how it's going to be set up in their classroom, what's the best options, how it's going to work with this hybrid model that we're trying to use for in-person and remote learning. I will suggest that, if you want that training, please reach out to me so that we can get you on the schedule, but we will be available next week for that one-on-one training.
So one of the last comments I saw was that there are a lot of features. And so we just want to show you some of the basic features that you will use. So Mrs. Martin and I are going to walk over to the board so we can check it out. Okay, so when you turn on your Promethean board, you will start here with your home screen. And so you can see we have the date and the time already listed here on the board. Now you will also have on your smart board a menu. And so your menu can be found here at the bottom on this side of your board and also on that side of the board. So you don't have to be in a particular spot to access your menu. So today we're going to look at just some of the main features that you'll probably be using with your board in our menu. So we won't go over everything that's listed here. You have some tools here. So we have locker, owner, which you will not use, your home button to get you back to this screen here, your whiteboard, which will probably be a feature that you'll use a lot. Capture is how you can take a screenshot of whatever is on your screen. Annotate will allow you to write on the board, and we'll also demonstrate that. Source will be just like using your TV at home when you want to switch to your HDMI cord. So source will be from this screen, from this board, to if I'm connected to my Promethean board with the HDMI cable, or if I want to connect to my Chromebox, which is on the back of the Promethean board. And so our tech department will talk about that a little bit later. And then also we have screen share here, which we will practice doing today. And we're gonna start with the locker. So, and just to show you, this is your Chromebox, which is already attached to the back of your Promethean board, thanks to our technology department. And then you also have a remote control that comes with your Promethean board, as well as a stylus that you can use to annotate. All right, so we're going to start with the locker. And so in our locker, again, you probably will not use all of these features or all of these apps, excuse me. So we're just gonna go over some of the main ones, starting with one of the most basic ones, which is Chromium. And so Chromium is your web browser. It works very similar to Google Chrome. Okay, and so as you can see, we already had a page open here, but if this had not been here, so see if you can, if it wasn't here, this is what you'll see on your screen. So just the plus sign at the top. And so then you would just type, so you would tap here and then type whatever website that you want to go to. And so there we are. Okay, so now I can either go back to home to take me back where I started, or I could have just gone back to my menu, back to locker. And the next thing we want to talk to you about is the Promethean store. And so our Promethean store is already preloaded with apps that you can use in your classroom. Some of the ones that are featured that are some of your most popular ones that you would use, we have Class Dojo, Duolingo, Quizlet, Microsoft Excel, if anybody still uses that, but I know we all use Google. We also have Kahoot, which I think is great for many of us because a lot of us use Kahoot in our classrooms. And then it even has Zoom. So Mrs. Martin is going to demonstrate. Okay.
All right, so I just want to say something really quick about the Zoom option with the actual Promethean board. We, or the technology, or let me not say the technology, because a lot of this is coming from the district. The district has provided cameras for every Promethean board setup that's in every classroom. As we go down, or as we continue through the presentation, we will talk a little bit more about the Chromebox option. But currently, you can connect your camera to the board itself and be able to use the Zoom application that's installed or have the ability to be installed on the actual Promethean board. So that will give you an option to use the board to be in the meetings or host meetings. But as we, like I said, as we go down to the closer to the end where we're talking about the Chromebox, we will give you a little bit more feedback about that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Redmond. So we're just going to practice installing Kahoot. So you see Kahoot, and again, this is in the Promethean store. I'm going to click on Kahoot. You see it on the left side of the screen, and then you see install here. So we'll press install, and it has cancel and install at the bottom right corner. I don't need any special permission or access. I'll press install. As you can see, it is installing now. Okay, so now I want to open this, and you're going to see Kahoot, and it looks just like it normally does. Of course, you could log in, but we are not going to log in. So, okay, we're using this. I'm going to use it as a teacher. Okay, so, and we could continue to go through with this, but basically we just want to show you how easy it is to install. And Mrs. Pierce can show you how easy it is to uninstall as well.
I can, but I think that is beyond what we want to do today.
Okay.
So when you are ready to uninstall, you can contact any member of TACT or put in a work order, and Mr. Williams or Mr. Redmond can help you. Okay, so now we're going to look at a fun feature that that I know you will enjoy using in your classroom. So we're going to go to Locker and go to the spinner. And so what we're going to do is tap these two arrows and put it on its own screen. And the spinner is a great option, a great tool for classroom management. So whether you have your students in the classroom or if they are virtual, it is a good way to make sure that all of your students are engaged. So you do have a few options. So you can have numbers for your spinner. You can put in names. So if you want to put in if you're at the high school level, your first block class and put all their names in, and you want to randomly select someone to answer a question, I can just spin and I cannot see whose name is on this. Okay, and Tyler is going to answer this question. So the students have to be engaged. They have to pay attention because they never know when their name is going to come up in our spinner. Now you can hear it. So, and you can turn on the sound or you can keep the sound turned off. I think the default is that it's off. But you would just go to this little gear here for your settings, and you could just select sound. You can also select item once. You have the option for putting in colors are already in here, vowels, consonants, and alphabet, which is all great for our elementary students. Or you can create a new list and input whatever you want. But these are already in, and you can edit each one or you can create your own. And so what we're going to do now is just practice using our spinner. And so I am going to go back to the one that we had. So I'm going to press an X to remove that one from the screen. And then I'm going to go back to my locker because that went away. Go back to my numbers 1 through 60. You can also have more than one spinner on the screen. So I would just press the plus sign, and now I have more than one. So depending on what you're working on, you can add as many spinners as you want. What we would like to do right now is award a prize to, we took the first 60 participants who logged in today, and so we have a drawing for you. What is it? So you will win a $10 Walmart gift card. And so what we did was we already put these numbers in. So we have 1 through 60. And if you want to put in numbers for your spinner, thankfully you won't have more than 60 students in a class because it doesn't go higher than 60. But we are going to spin the wheel and then see who signed in from 1 through 60, and that person will receive a prize. So I'm going to spin the wheel. And Mrs. Martin, the 7th person to sign in is the winner.
Okay, Miss Monique Saunders.
All right, Miss Saunders, congratulations. So you are the winner of a $10 Walmart gift card. All right, and so I also want to show you that the timer works similarly to the spinner. The timer is also in our locker. And so also a great classroom management tool. And so I can press the X to remove all that other stuff. And I'm going to make it bigger. It goes to its own screen. And so you can set your timer for whatever you want. You can have it operate as a timer, a clock, or a stopwatch. And you would just click this arrow here to make those changes. All right, so the next feature that we're going to talk about from our locker is, I'm just going to mention it now and we'll go into more detail later, but it is ActiveCast. And so ActiveCast is your screen share. This is one way to do your screen share, but we will come back to this later and talk about it in more detail. All right, so next I'm going to talk about the whiteboard. The whiteboard is easily accessible from your menu. And so I'm going to tap it here. It goes to this blank white screen, which is kind of hard to see. So that gives me an opportunity to show you that I can change the colors. So we have this pound sign here, and I can choose whatever color I want the board to be. And so I'm going to choose red because I think that'll be easy for you to see from your computer screens. So we start with this blank screen, and we have several different options. One option that you can use is you can divide your screen and have two students working at the board at the same time. And so Mrs. Martin is going to use the stylus, and I'm going to use my finger. But I'm also, let's say we are learning to write in cursive. I know that's not part of the curriculum, but let's say we're learning to write in cursive. So I'm going to go to my board and, okay, and change the lines. So I'm going to give us some line paper. So you have some options. You have graph paper here. And then you have, it's broken up. So if we were in band or music class, you have your sheet music. So there's several different templates. I'm just going to go to the handwriting one. And so we're going to show you, we're going to demonstrate that more than one person or student can write at the same time.
And also, Mrs. Pierce mentioned cursive writing, but if you're working with students in elementary school and you're trying to teach them how to write capital letters and lowercase letters, you could possibly even number these lines and then show them. So maybe she'll write in cursive and I'll write in print.
Okay.
Okay. This is on 1, 2, 3. And then if I want to teach them about lowercase p, I'll show them. And then they see exactly where they're supposed to write. So if they were going to number their lines.
Okay. Now, let's say I want to clear all of this right now. So you have an eraser, and then you have an eraser that like looks like it's in front of the whiteboard. So you just tap that, and it clears everything on the screen all at once. Okay. Now you can also measure on your smartboard, and so I'm going to remove the lines and go back to a blank screen. And so you have a ruler, and then you have your protractor and your compass. And so you can use your stylus. Let's say this is a crooked line, but let's say I was trying to show my teacher that I knew that I was trying to measure. And so I can take my ruler and measure like the length of my line. I can also turn it. No, and it's crooked a little bit, but I can turn it. And then see, I get some help this time. The board is helping me to draw a straight line. So I don't know if you can see that come up on the screen or not, but you can use that. And so here are our other tools that we have. You can resize it. Let's put it over there with Mrs. Martin. That spins. And move that out of the way. And then our last piece. And so these are all available to you, which let's see. I feel like there's some more templates somewhere. Okay, but I'm going to clear all of this.
So while they're pulling all of this up, basically, these tools will help. You can also, I know I'm not in the camera, but you can also capture everything you're doing, and you can keep adding this information to the workspace, to any workspace that you're working with for any lesson plan. A lot of this stuff that they're showing you, this is a lot more so for face-to-face options when you're trying to instruct. But again, a lot of this, anything with this board currently, you can download templates. They are free templates, so it's not a thing that you have to worry about purchasing. So if the template is not there and just so happen you research it, you find it, you should be able to download it and apply it to the actual Promethean board, because that is also on the internet.
Okay, and then if I want to remove any of that, there's an X inside of a circle, and I just tap that and it goes away for each one. And that goes away. You can also highlight on the board. And so I'm just going to show you. You can change the colors. Still kind of hard to see on this red screen, so I'm just going to change it to white just for a minute so you can see. I'm changing the colors. There's a color palette here that gives you even more colors that are not already on the board. And then you have your undo and redo buttons down here as well. And then if I just wanted to write on the board again, I would just select that for annotation and put that there. Okay. So I just want to pause and ask if there are any questions that anyone has already posted in the chat, or any that you want to ask at this point in time before we move forward.
And if you all would like to add, and I placed this in the chat just a second ago, if it's a way that you can see how you can use this, either when you're conducting a meeting, when you are teaching a lesson in your class, please use the chat feature, because you may be giving your colleagues some ideas. And someone asked about the Kahoot app. Where is it downloaded?
Where does it go to when it's downloaded?
Yes, I believe that's the question. It said, where is the Kahoot app you downloaded?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the locker and go to Promethean store. And then I'm going to go back to the home screen for the Promethean store. And you see up here, you have some menu items. So the last one is downloads, and Kahoot is listed here. And then you would just tap on it to open it. So all your downloads will go to that download window, to the locker.
Okay, the next question is, are there any maps or templates, or do you have to download them all for a geography teacher?
Maps.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. I don't recall seeing any maps, but I will go back to the whiteboard.
I will say this: there may not be any maps or templates that are stock on this board, but you can download as she's pulling up the templates now. Also, too, another good thing about this board, you can actually go to Chromium or to any web, or if you have your laptop plugged in, if you have the Chromebox, once that's plugged in, you can actually capture different maps or terrains or anything that you're trying to use for your lesson and actually put it in the workspace. And that's something that you can use instead of actually using a preloaded template. And I don't know if Ms. Pierce want to show that.
Okay, so what I do want to share is I did not go over this feature. So right under the pound sign is an image button. And if you tap this button, it takes you to some preloaded charts and templates. And so you can see that there are some tables already here, and a clock face. You have cause and effect. So you got some graphic organizers. You also have the periodic table here, some mind maps and number lines. And you should be, like Mr. Redmond said, you should also be able to add your own, and your own would be in this gallery. But all I did was from the whiteboard, I just went to, so under the pound sign, I went to the image button, and it took me to these charts and templates. Okay. Okay, so the next thing that we want to show you is the screen capture. Now, it's here in our menu, and it doesn't require anything but tapping one time. So once I click on capture whatever is on my screen is going to be captured. So if this is not what I want a picture of, I'm not going to press anything until I get to it. So what I'm going to do is go to Chromium and here on the web, and let's say I want to talk about, I don't know, the weather. Okay, so I'm going to put in volcanoes. And then, so I'm here at images, and I'm just gonna pick one, and I'm gonna pick this one because it's not so dark. I'll pick this one. Okay, and then if I wanna capture this, I go to my menu, I press capture. Immediately, the picture is captured. So here it is here on my screen. So it asks me if I want to crop, do I want to crop my image? But I'm gonna open it in the whiteboard. So I just tap open in whiteboard. And so here it is. I can resize it. I can turn it. And I can also write on it. So if I have students identifying maybe what they see here in the picture, then they can write what they see here at the top, what they see here in the middle, what's happening down here. They can circle, they can draw, you know, whatever it is that you would have them do. So that is how the screen capture works. And then once I want to, if I want to remove it from my screen, I can press the X. Once I take it off of annotating, so I'm going to press the arrow and press the X, and it asks me if I want to delete it, and if so, then I just put it in the trash.
All right, so Ms. Pittman, I saw your question. I'm just going to go ahead. We can go ahead and discuss that. So as Ms. Pierce was demonstrating the different things on the board, so at this point, I guess this is a good time to go ahead and discuss this. On the back of everybody's board, there's a Chrome box. Now, this Chrome box is pretty much the same as a Chromebook, okay? So again, this is what it looks like. It's normally located right here on the back of the board, okay? So the way we have them installed, I'll go ahead and install this one. But the way we have them installed, the power button is actually pointing down, so it's easier for you to be able to turn it on and off. Now, from what we've seen, these Chrome boxes, they actually go to sleep. So a lot of times if you want to use them, if you go to the sources, they may be powered off. So you will have to go ahead and power it on if you're going to use it. Now, the point of actually purchasing this Chrome box, this gave us an option to have two devices in one. The smart board is an option to, and as Ms. Pierce and Ms. Martin has shown you, you have opportunities to use it as a regular computer. The Chromebox was also another option because that is what the kids use at home. So a lot of times, well, all the teachers mostly have Windows devices. So as we're working here in the office or at the schools, we're not necessarily seeing the same thing the kids are seeing because again, there's a difference between a Chromebook and a laptop. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? I have everything hooked up, but all of this will actually be on the back of it, so you won't actually see all these wires. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back up here if I can. Come on now. Demonstration. Okay, that's not working right now. But on the back of everybody's board, that device is already there. So in order for you to actually see this Chrome box on your board, you actually have to come in and press your menu and then go to sources. And as you can see, you might have a couple different sources. This Chrome box is actually plugged into HDMI 2 on the back of the board. So all you have to do is press HDMI 2, and here you go. It comes up with the option to sign into your Chromebox. If you just go ahead and touch it, because everything is hooked up for it to be a touch device, you can type in all your information, which will be your email, your password, and you'll be logged in as if you were logged into a Chromebox. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important is because, as Ms. Pittman was saying in her question, or as we saw earlier in the surveys, how is this going to help us with in-person and remote learning? Again, we have equipped you with a webcam that's on the top of your board that's going to be plugged into either, and this is up to you, either to your actual Promethean board, your Chromebox, even if you want to plug it into your laptop, but I wouldn't recommend that. But you could definitely plug it into either one of those devices to have another device in the meeting at the same time as you're in the meeting with your laptop, as you're walking around the classroom. You may be assisting any of the students with any type of issues. So this is just another device that gives you more flexibility to see your students at home, also see what you're sharing without being in one location. So that's the reason why this is kind of important, and this is how it's going to help you. Now, to Ms. Pittman's question, each box came with 2 HDMI cables. It also came with 2 USB peripherals that will give you the option to do touch. Now, you can either plug, well, one of those HDMI cables and one of those USB cords are already plugged into the Chromebox. That's how I'm able to go ahead and tap the screen and touch it. The other cables are in the box. You can plug that into your laptop. If you had a Chromebook that you wanted to plug in because you want to use that, you can do that also. But more than likely, you can plug that HDMI cable and that USB cable into your laptop, which will then give you the option of having a touch device on your screen. And I'll give you an example. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see it here, but we have the home option, which will take us back to home, which is the actual Promethean board. We have our HDMI 2 option, which, like I said, is the back of the board, which is your Chromebox. And I have an HDMI option. Now, this HDMI option, as you can see, I know it's going to look kind of trippy, but this is my laptop, okay? If I had the USB cable plugged into the board to my laptop, I would be able to touch the board and move and do whatever I need to do. Don't worry about that. But at this case, I don't. I only have the HDMI cable plugged in. So this is another option or another device that you can use for face-to-face or face-to-face and remote learning at the same time. So as we kind of went through everything, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we can kind of go over that. And again, like I said, next week, me and Daniel will be available to kind of do one-on-one, kind of help teachers set their boards up, to give you a better look or an option. Because again, this will also help you with classroom management. The reason why I say that, I work with a couple teachers at the elementary school. Let me turn this off. I worked with a couple teachers at the elementary school earlier this week, and we kind of looked at it, but it basically will give you an option where you could put the board in the back of the room. You could sit at the front of the room, kind of teach your kids that are face to face, but you also give them the option to where they don't have to look at the kids that's on the screen that may distract them or make them feel as though they need to be at home. And you could still see your kids at home that's in the meeting or that's being remote, and you still can have access to your kids face to face. So it's just basically a standalone option that can help with the remote learning. But the main thing that we got this for is to replace that old smartboard that's in your rooms, which will be taken down, and just give you more, I would say, an up-to-date piece of technology. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them down in the chat. Also, too, if we have time, we might actually, get some of the teachers to unmute themselves, and if you wanted to ask your question that way. So, turn your mic on.
I just wanted to add that we haven't talked about the screen share feature yet, but we have found, kind of while testing out these boards, that the Chromebox is a better option instead of the screen share when using Google Meet. So Google Meet overall quality tends to be better with the Chromebox.
Mr. Redmond, there's a question in the chat from Miss Miss Ezzy. She wants to know if you can sign in to Google Classroom using HDMI2 with the Chromebox to demonstrate.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me log into it. So you can, so basically, like I was saying, the Chromebox is a Chromebook. So the same thing the kids use at home is what this is. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sign into it and I can give you an example. Okay.
And while you're doing that, there's also a question from Mr. Hunter. He wants to know if the ports can be renamed.
I'm not sure whether or not the ports can be renamed because that is, if the settings in the board allow you to do that, then yes. But if not, it's based upon the inputs. So I'm not too sure about that. I don't want to tell you wrong.
And Mr. Redmond, we need the camera back on you.
All right, give me a second.
Okay.
Okay. They probably want to see y'all more than me anyway.
No, I don't think so. So once Mr. Redmond shows how to log in to Google Classroom from the Chromebook, we're going to show all of you how to download the screen share, to your computers so that next week or whenever you're ready to use the feature, it will already be ready to go on your computers.
All right, so I just logged into the Chromebox, which again, if you had any of the Chromebooks at the school, if you were to log in with your information, this is what it would look like. It's going to load all my extensions, apps, or what have you. And while we're here, as they were saying, with the Chrome share option, I am working with Promethean to try to get that fixed. But there would normally be an app in here, and basically, for the students at home, they would have to click on this app or extension, and it would then allow them to put in the code, which Ms. Pierce is going to go over all of that information. But once you put in that code, it allows you to share your screen to this board. So that's another good option, which is similar to GoGuardian. I think everybody is kind of using GoGuardian, how you're able to see the different pages or tabs of the students' Chromebooks. All right, so as you can see, you still have your waffle menu over here. Once you log into it, if you're using Google Meet, you could just go ahead and put your classroom information in if you had the code. If you wanted to create a new meeting, you have that option too. Just give me a second. Let me start an instant meeting. And what we'll do really quickly, let me turn this mic off. And again, on your board, everybody has a microphone. So for your first time using it, if you've never used this feature with the microphone, I'm sorry, with the camera, it's going to ask you to allow. It's the same concept as on your laptop. It's going to ask you to allow or block this device. Now, if you block it, it's not going to pick it up. You have to go into the settings and change it. So currently, let me turn the microphone off. All right. Can't find camera. Okay. That sucks. Did I block it? Well, there we go. Always block. No, it give me an option to do it. Just give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get this to come up. It is blocked. Well, this is a good learning experience because I did block it. So if you had to do this, you would actually have to go into the settings of Chrome to unblock it. Let me see. No, it's that's before. I didn't block it though. Sorry for this. We kind of doing this on the fly. I wasn't prepared for this one. Check your system settings. Make sure the camera is available. All right, let me see. All right. Maybe open up another tab. Let me close that. Meet. This new meeting. Start an instant meeting. Let me see if it's gonna give me an option. Let's say allow. Okay, we allowed it this time. Let's see, there we go. Sorry about that. Like I said, we're doing everything on the fly here. You know, first time for everything. As you can see, I'm technically in a meeting from the actual Promethean board. If this was your class, you could be on your laptop and you could be in this meeting anywhere in the room. Ms. Pierce, stand right there for a second. So say, for instance, Ms. Pierce was a teacher. She had her laptop in her hand or she had a laptop on the desk right there. She could be in the meeting on that laptop. And as you can see on the board, we could see everything, right? But she can also be in the meeting as herself and not necessarily be this close to the board. So she's able to do classroom management. She's able to still, let's just pretend that there's kids here. I don't know, Daniel, come in the shot for me. Come in this, stand right there, right there. So say for instance, Daniel is our student, right? She needs to help Daniel, okay? The board has a microphone on it that she can actually talk normal and project to the board. She can still help the student here in person, okay? So it gives you the option of being able to do both at the same time, which that's the overall outcome that we're trying to do. Okay? Does that make sense? Did she say anything? Okay. So if there's any more questions, and I hope, and again, like I said, next week we will be walking around trying to help teachers set up this equipment for more one-on-one and kind of going through explanations. Like I said earlier this week, we did work with some of the elementary school kids, not kids, sorry, teachers, to try to show them the same thing that was just asked. How are we going to use this device to help us with face-to-face and remote instruction at the same time? Now, I will tell you, if we did not have this camera on every board, it would be probably a lot harder to do this. But now that we are equipped with these devices, from a technology standpoint, I think it's a lot more feasible than it was before.
Mr. Redmond, I just wanted to come
Any
off
more
mute.
questions?
I hope you can hear me. Thank you for that. I wanted
Okay,
to see
thank you,
how.
Mr. Redmond. So I think the final thing that we need to do now is to walk everyone through the steps of sharing their screen. So if you could, okay, so I will close this and I'm actually going to leave the Chromebox and go back to the board.
So you're asking, can you have a wireless headphone or speaker linked to the board? I would say yes, if that device is through USB. Because I don't think, no, I'm sorry, you can, because there are outputs on the back of this board that gives you an option to plug in a audio cable. You could plug in and plug out to where if you wanted to plug something in, you wanted that sound to go from that device through the board and then output through something else, through a speaker, just so happened, you could plug that in. So I would say yes. I would say it may potentially make it hard for them to hear you. But this board is extremely loud. It's not a quiet board. So I think they would be able to hear you. Also, too, with that suggestion of having the board as a standalone option where you're not connected through any type of cable, your computer microphone will still be on. So wherever your computer is, if it's by you, if that's how you're going to teach from, they should be able to hear you because you would just be talking directly in the computer like you have been. The only thing that this board is giving you an option to do is to have some type of display to see all of your students that are at home, along with being face to face with the students there, if that makes sense. There shouldn't be any echoes because the board itself is going to be muted. Now, that is a type of setup, again, that we're going to have to walk around and test and make sure, because I have to leave this session at 2. Okay. With the echoes, let's just talk about that currently. If you're going to use your laptop to be in the meeting and the board to be in the meeting at the same time, you're going to have to pick and choose. If the board's microphone is going to be off, your computer microphone is going to be on. If the speakers from the board is going to be on, your laptop speaker is going to be turned off. You can't have both of them on at the same time. So that's something that we'll have to work through. And again, as we go through this, and because we're nearing the end of this presentation, next week, like I said, we will be available and we will try to work all the kinks out because we're all, in the same position here. We're all looking forward to the kids coming back on the 29th. So, we are definitely here to help and make sure everything is working properly before the 29th. Okay. So I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Pierce so that we can kind of finish this presentation.
Okay, so as we are nearing the end, what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the steps of connecting via screen share, and then we're going to spin the wheel one final time for one more $10 Walmart gift card. Also, while we're doing that, Mrs. Martin is going to go ahead and put the survey link in the chat, and so you can also fill that out as well. So first, what I'm going to do is show you here on the board. Mr. Redmond, is the board projecting? So I'm going to show you here on the board what you would do in your classroom in order for the screen to, in order to share the screen in your classroom. So it will show here. Okay, so what I did was I went to the menu. I came down here to the bottom. I clicked on screen share. And then what it did was it gave me a panel name, which I have already changed myself. You can edit it. So I changed the name of my panel to Media Center. And then it gives you a panel ID. And so my number is down here at the bottom, 014387. And then here it looks like two people. It looks like two people there. And so what that does is it'll have a number here and it'll show you how many people or students are waiting for your board. So what we're going to do, I would like for Mr. Redmond to share the slide that takes you through the steps with everyone. It's already up there? Okay. And so from your laptop, you are going to follow the steps that are on the screen. So in your classroom, let's say you have your students seated inside of your classroom and you're doing presentations and you want them to be able to share their screen without using the HDMI cord. And so here at the bottom, it tells you the website to go to. And so it's share.mypromethean.com. And once you go to that screen, it will give you some options. And so the steps are also listed in your agenda. And that is so, I know today is Friday and it's the weekend. You may forget next week one of the steps. So if you will go back to your agenda, the steps are here listed for what you can do. But today I would like for those of you who can to go ahead and download screen share. And then if we have some volunteers who would like to connect to the board here, even though you're at home or wherever you may be, you can still, once you put in this code, connect to the board. And if you don't mind, we can share our screens here for everyone to see. But you'll go to that website, download screen share, and then you will see that it's going to go from you'll see the file will come down to the bottom of your screen, and you click on that file, you install it, you accept the user agreement. Once you click done, you're going to go to your actual desktop. You can even type it in screen share and it will come up on your screen. And then it will ask you to enter a panel ID. Every Promethean board has its own unique panel ID. So this is my panel ID here in the Media Center. So it is 014387. In your classroom, it might be 12345, but everybody has a different panel ID. It does not change. So this is my board. So for those of you who would like to connect to it, if you would enter 014387, you put your name and then check enable touchback so that active panel can navigate your screen. All that means is that you do not have to stand at your computer when you are sharing to the board. You can touch the board and it'll do everything as if you were at your computer navigating. Once you do that, you're going to click enter waiting room, and then the names will come up. So if you have your students waiting to share, their names will be in these spaces here on the screen, and then you would just tap their names when you wanted them to share. And then when you're done sharing your screen, you just click exit waiting room, and all your information will leave the screen. So do we have any volunteers to connect to the board and share your screen with everyone else?
I'm trying, Ms. Pierce, but mine doesn't seem to want to work right, so I'll keep at it.
Mine is telling me it's an error when I go to.
And so I'm going to close
It says it's an error.
Okay, let me go back. So here is my little panel here. Once somebody enters my waiting room, if I'm not at that other screen, I will see like a number come up here. So just waiting.
Ms. Pierce?
So I don't see any volunteers so far.
Ms. Pierce can't hear us?
They keep giving us an error.
To download.
She can't hear us?
So with this app, if you are going to the share.mypromethean and you're on your school laptop, don't do the Chrome web extension. You have to actually install it. Now, okay, this might not necessarily work right now because I don't think people have access to install on their computer.
Okay, but Mrs. Martin is going to do it
So-
just so we can.
Okay,
give
so
an
that's
example.
something that we're sharing with you guys, but that's a feature that the technology will be looking into to where we can kind of open it up. I might have to open up some ports or something, but Ms. Martin is going to show us how it works because she has it installed on her computer. Just to give you an example of how it works. So just give me
It
one.
doesn't take that long to download.
Yeah. So right now we're installing it, and while we're waiting, do any questions so far? How about
can
this?
also spell
How many? What kind of concerns are we having? Maybe that we can kind of address, or I can kind of address while I'm sitting here. And just to reiterate, next week I put it in the chat. Wednesday, me and Daniel will be at the elementary school. Thursday we'll be at the middle school. Monday we'll be at the high school. And also we'll probably go over to RVEC Monday afternoon, maybe Tuesday. So like I said, if there's,
Oh,
I don't think you can hear us.
Do we have to book?
I can't, if you're saying anything, I can't hear anything. Are you saying anything? Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
So you can still hear me. If you're saying anything, if you want to unmute yourself, you can. I mean, at this point, if you have a concern that you want to talk about.
Okay. I don't think you can hear me. I don't think you.
You don't necessarily have to type in the chat if you're having an issue, but you can definitely unmute yourself and we
Can you hear
can.
me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second.
Can you hear me?
All right. Was anybody saying anything?
Dr. Mughal,
Hey, Dr. Mughal, how are you doing?
how are you?
I'm
I think
good.
coming on Monday, can I be the first person? It's just that I want to be able to do the multitask. Like I want you to watch me log in and then maybe use you as students in the classroom, and then try to make sure that the students virtually can hear me. That's the only thing that I want help with. And since you have the video right now, I mean the camera, I'm less afraid to use it because I'm not. I was trying to use my laptop to do the presentations, and I kind of gave up because it was becoming complex at the time. But is it possible? My concern is just to have somebody, to have you guys with me, so that I'm whatever mistakes I can make, I want to do it Monday, so that
Yeah, that
I can be ready to try to use it on Tuesday.
okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. I don't want to promise that you're gonna be the first, but if we're in the area and you see us walking, because I think everybody knows we kind of walk like we're on a mission. But if you see us, you can grab us. But we will be there Monday for anything. So if we're just standing out in the hall, we definitely will come in
Yeah.
and watch and try to make sure everything is working
So
properly
right
for
now
you.
I don't have to use the laptop in, and
So
I will go ahead and log in the board. But you said something about Go Gardening, because I'm dependent on Go Gardening if the students are at home, to really look at their their documents. Will the students know which app to use to log in so that I can see what they're doing, or will can I still continue using the Go Guardian to see?
so so
Mhm.
So to kind of explain the board again, the board is mostly like a free flowing device. You could almost act as if this smart or this panel is like a student that's logged into your meeting. Uh, I like currently we're in a meeting, everybody's here. I could be on Go Guardian right now, and you won't ever see it because I'm not presenting that. So as of right now, you do not have to use your laptop to be directly connected to this board. This is just an option. If you would like to share, you can do it by using, as Ms. Pierce said, you have the option of sharing your screen without using the cable. But a lot of times I could even tell you for me, if I'm connected to it, if I'm in the room with a Promethean board, I use
You
the HDMI cable because it's
you
just easier.
connected.
But you really don't have to do that because you have that Chrome box behind you. You can log into your Google Meet. You could get all that set up first thing in the morning. You might have your link open the whole day, but that board will be in that meeting all day long where all you have to do is look up and see the students that are logged in. And you can
Okay.
still use your laptop. You can still be on Go Guardian. You can still get your lessons up. You can still share your screen. But as you're sharing your screen, you can actually see what you shared on the Promethean board at the same time. If
Yeah,
that
I
makes sense.
just want to avoid questions that will come up, because the students could, you never know what they'll ask you. So, barring usage of the computer, everything is there for me to as long as I'm sharing, the students will be able to see what I'm seeing. And okay, so that's what you're saying, correct?
Correct, correct. If you're sharing anything, the students will be able to see it. If you're not sharing anything, the students won't be able to see your screen. They only will be currently like how we're able to see you're talking. We don't know if you're doing anything on any other tabs. You're not sharing anything to
You
this
did
to this
the central.
to this meeting. So if you were to share something, then I would be able to see it. But if not, we would just see you talk, and you could continue to do what you need to do on your laptop at that time.
And vice versa. So if the students had to show me something, they're able to do that, correct?
Correct. But now depending on which program you're using, if you're using Zoom, if you're using Google
Google.
Meet, it just depends on the permissions. But the kid or the student should be able to share to you as they were doing before.
Yeah.
Now, by having this board and having this up, you might be able to see it to where you can still have your laptop up doing what you need to do, and they're sharing their screen, and all you have to do is look at your Promethean board with the students still there, and you can see what they're sharing. So it's just another tool. It's like, okay, so it's almost as if you extended your screen, or if you had another monitor. This is all it's just a bigger monitor, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Just thank you.
All right.
See you
Any other
Monday.
look, any more questions while we're on this topic?
So, Mr. Redmond, we have Mrs. Martin is able to connect to the board, but in our chat we have a lot of people reporting that they cannot.
So what we're gonna have to do is
connect.
what I'm gonna have to look into. There's policies on everybody's laptops. You have to have administrative rights to install things on your laptop. So I have to change that for local to make everybody a local admin, so you have access to install this uh, application, or I could just push it out to everybody.
But
But
they've downloaded, but the code, they're getting an error message about the code.
yeah, so what we'll do is we'll work on the shared option. That was something that we had in the demo before we even started buying these. But we will show you here in house how it looks, since we're going over it and we're just demoing it. But that's something on my list that I will be testing out and making sure that we have working. But again, we've already purchased Go Guardian, so right now, from a student standpoint, you have the option of still seeing the students' tabs through Go Guardian. But we'll to keep this going, we will go ahead and test it so that everybody can see how it works.
And I do want to add that we did practice connecting to the board without physically being here at the high school, but it was within the district. So we are not sure if the different network has anything to do with connecting to the Promethean board. But again, that is something that our technology department will work on. So I do want to show, I saw that Miss Pierce asked if she could see the logo, the app symbol again. So to connect from your board, Mr. Redmond, can I get access to the board again?
I didn't change it. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so in my menu, so here at the bottom, it's the next to the last app. So it's just a screen share. It's dark blue, and so you would tap it either right there or from on either side. And so once you do that, it's going to take you to that website. But here I have on my board this little section that tells me my panel ID number as well as the name of my panel. And then if you can see right here, this is my waiting room, and there's an indicator that I have one person in my waiting room. And so I'm going to tap it, and I see that, oh, that's not what, I see that Chrissy Martin is here. I was trying to slide this out of the way, and okay. Christy Martin is here, and she's going to share her screen. And so for me to share her screen to the Promethean board, I would just tap on her name.
Hey, can everybody mute themselves?
So that was
All right. Sorry about that. There was a lot of feedback, but we're trying to find out where the feedback is coming from. All right. Can everybody still hear me? All right. Let's try. Let's try. You want to try it again?
no.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're gonna move on from that. All right.
Yes, we're gonna move on from that. So you gonna get the gist of how to screen share. And we do have a lot of technology in here, so who knows what caused all the feedback. So, but this is your waiting room. This is who's in there, and she is no longer sharing. And that's pretty much it. Are there any questions, any additional questions about sharing the screen? This brings us to the end of our training today. So as I said before, we have one more gift card that we're going to give away. And so I'm going to spin the wheel. And then once you complete the survey, that is it for today. Thank you all for spending time with us. And if you have any questions after today's training, please be sure to contact any of the members of the Technology Advisory Council.
And one thing, we're going to use the information that you provide on the survey, your questions, to help us develop or compile an FAQ, or, you know, if we need to include some screenshots or step-by-step directions. So please be as specific as you'd like to be with your survey responses.
All right, did one of our members from our technology team want to spin the wheel? Okay, our final winner is number 20.
20, let's see. Number 20 is Miss Gwendolyn Boyd.
Congratulations to Miss Gwendolyn Boyd. You have won our final gift card. So any final words from any of our members today? So again, the link to the survey is in the chat. Also, please refer back to your agenda with your notes, and you all have a great Friday and have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too, everybody. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Shout out to the tech team. Have a good afternoon.